your postdoc and thinking that you can do in 5 years what Manish or Kupuswamy has done in 5 years, that would be difficult because the experience they have. So we will also want to know after this, after hearing all three of them, what would it take for younger people with less experience to actually come to the level that all three of you are. So we start with Bharat.
Okay, so our company is all about sericulture and later on silk proteins. That's where the biotechnology comes in. I grew up in animal nutrition, ran a company for 25 years, and even though technically Sericare started in 2002, I didn't move over full-time till 2010. So really our work has been 6 or 7 years of intensive work. Otherwise it was a Wednesday meeting and somebody else was doing some work. And so we started from the agri side, giving inputs to farmers, and realized that sericulture farming business, even though it is very centric around Bangalore, about 15 districts around Bangalore produce 90% of the country's silk. The market is very, let's say, under-evolved, and if I may say, too much government interference for development of the silk farmer, who they keep at subsistence level. So there was no integration that we had seen in poultry business, where we found lots of sophistication, lots of integration, and sericulture remains fragmented, remains at subsistence level, and of course it will never get economies of scale because it's always the small and marginal farmer that the planners are working for. So to make a living we had to do something else beyond giving inputs to farmers, and that's how we decided to work upstream with silk proteins. And as we sort of discovered the 100 kd silk molecule, it's an amazing, it's been close, it's worked, it's been with man for 3,000 years. It's extremely biocompatible, and there are lots of things which you can do with the silk protein molecule by cutting it into smaller peptides. There are activities. So we sort of discovered that we could do stuff with silk proteins, and we first did some simple sericin standardization and extraction, which was a simple input to cosmetics. It's a cosmetic ingredient, and a lot of high-end cosmetics use silk protein, strangely, which comes from Italy. And we were able to demonstrate that we have identical protein peaks, we had identical toxicity and other profiles. So we were able to make some small entry into the cosmetic ingredient business with simple sericin extraction. As you cut down the molecule and you find smaller peptides between, say, around 10 kd, you find lots of biological activity and lots of exciting peptides which have applications in industry. So that's what we are really engaged in. Our patent, which we have received about a year ago, is on wound healing. It's another part of the same 100 kd silk protein, which is a stimulant of cells, cell growth. So we've developed a kind of sheet of recast fibroin, which stimulates cell growth, and we have tried to productize it. But proof of concept in the lab is easy. Proof of concept in the marketplace is damn tough. And I think that's really what we are engaged in. Every clinical trial costs a lot of money. All surgeons want to do the trial themselves. They want to first, they don't trust the results that you produce after 1 or 2 good trials. They want to do it themselves. So just giving away samples, convincing all the major plastic surgeons in the country has been a challenge, and we are still trying to establish proof of concept in the marketplace. Where do we go from here? I think one of the things which we didn't, let's say, account for, and that cosmetic ingredients is a different industry, surgeons and plastic surgeons are a different industry, nutraceuticals is a different industry, and you can't be everywhere. So you can develop competency only in one market, because commercializing is all about brand building. And you can't build brands in all markets because it's expensive, it takes human resource, it takes a lot of effort, and it requires huge amounts of promotion money. So I think what we have decided is that we'll try and focus only on and wound healing is a big, big area where the big boys are all there. So our little effort in a large market would probably get us some traction. But right now I think we have reached some stage where one or two larger hospitals have accepted our product. We are in Victoria, we are in Jipmer, we have done our trial at AIMS. We get some support. But I think really to survive and scale, we'll have to find partners who can take us into the market properly. I don't know how we'll do that without losing our brand, because I think owning a brand is very important. That's what gives you valuation eventually. So that's where we are, trying to make a living out of wound care and trying to not just prove laboratory concepts, but also proof of concept in the marketplace. I think that's where we are.
So fantastic. This is a real story that what you said, you start really, you put your heart and soul from 2007, 2008, and in 8 years or 9 years, you've been able to actually find out the niche, the big opportunity where you want to be. Yes, your competency is in the area of silk proteins and where you would focus. I think strategizing is something that is so important for the CEO and the top management. You have to have the right board, the right advisors for that. And thank you very much. Now let me go to Dr. Manish Tandon. Manish, can you talk about Curative, your experience in actually starting? It is a drug delivery company. Drug discovery company. So what kind of drug discovery you are wanting to do? How long does it take? How did you really get into this? If you could just tell us a little more.
To begin with, I would like to congratulate Renu for wonderful work she has been doing for last 4 years in BIRAC. That's the only organization, as Mr. Boba rightly said, who has been trying to help entrepreneurs and innovators like us. Thank you very much, and hope you do well. Curative was started in 2010. Arjun and I, we both were in the field for a couple of years. In pharmaceuticals, we have worked for about 25 years. And we saw globally that most of the research was being outsourced to India, thinking that there's a huge cost arbitrage and the cost of research would go down, which did happen, but unfortunately it was not resulting into any new innovation or new drugs. That is primarily because both is in historical entrepreneurship in India, which is family owned, and by the funding agencies, the lack of appetite to take risk is killing this industry. Unfortunately, the industry that we work in, which is innovation, has a problem of failure. But that's fine. As Mr. Boba pointed out, it's good to fail, but to fail early, right? If you fail early, you can move on to the next. There's nothing which should stop you thinking that I might fail early. Because also what he said in his couple of slides, I would give reference to what he had shown because most of them is very relevant to entrepreneurs. One he said also was about how good your science is. It's very important. Very, very important that you have a very a good combination of strong science and deep or exceptional operational skills that your team has. Also very important when you are trying to do is that the target that you choose or anything that you want to do should be best in class or should have a unique mechanism of action, or it should be a potential for a new standard of care that brings to the patient population. If your management is right, if you are helping with the good cause that you have been working with and chosen the right target, the third most important is finance. That's where I was complaining, and it was a genuine complaint that I was making that apart from BIRAC, nobody has helped Indian innovators. Now, what government has recognized very successfully over last few meetings that we have had is they are now promoting innovation in a very big way. I am very happy that government recognized any revenue coming out of patent box in India from any patent from India will now be taxed at only 10% instead of 34%, which is the normal corporate tax in India. Now that's a huge advantage because what happens is for a company like us when we start, or for any startup for that matter, your survival is on success of one or two stories that you have. And the revenue comes always in buckets. Because once you have an IP, you are able to license out. That's again what Mr. Boba said. You can't keep everything to yourself. You got to partner at some stage. So we were lucky we were working in immune therapy. That is the area which is now in focus. But when we started way back in 2011, not many people were ready to buy that idea. Not many people were ready to buy the story that immune therapy is going to be a game changer. It's a disruptive technology. Last few years, if you see, the life expectancy in everywhere has increased. But if you see in India in particular, where the primary health care is not very good, the women expectancy have gone up by 10 years and men life expectancy has gone over by 7 years. This has come because of innovation in science, which over a period of time, over the curve, then leads to generic drugs. It's not that generic drugs are, which India is very good at, is made from day one. It comes after the innovation, it comes from the patent. When it goes off patent, that is when generic drugs are made. So we are doing good, we are taking tiny steps, but in the right direction. We are very happy that government is recognizing innovation. They are now coming up with the pharma fund also, hopefully. Though the size, again, is, as I was talking with Mr. Bova, 1,000 crore is not a big deal. It should be a little more, or rather substantially more. Because drug discovery or any innovation you want to do needs deep pockets. It takes about 3 years to answer to your question. Any preclinical discovery you want to do to a IND stage will need at least 4.5 years. At least if you are in the novel area. If you are not doing a fast follow-up. Because what happens is fast follow-up will not take you anywhere around. It has to be something innovative. Or best in class, for example. But it takes about 4 years. To burn for 4 years is substantial if you do it right. And you are competing the world market. Therefore, you have to work at your best with the best team and a good scientific advisor that you have. We were fortunate, we had a good scientific advisory team, both from GSK and ex-Pfizer guys who had done this. So we were very fortunate that when we were stuck somewhere, we could turn around to people and ask. Never be shy to ask anybody for help. That's okay. You can't be master of all, so you can always take good help. When we are stuck with our company strategy in terms of financial matters, we always go to PwC or Deloitte. That's fine. That's okay. We have people are there to help you. Don't be shy in taking help. And I would say from what Mr. Boba had said, the last thing is, it's very rewarding. As he showed in his slide that biotechnology has beaten every other return in any other industry is fine. That's true. For us, I would like to inform you people that we had our immune therapy molecule which we licensed to Roche. It was about $500 million deal, and it's a game changer for industry like us. I hope many more curatives come forward and they are not afraid of failure. Please come forward. Renu is there to support. Mr. Boba also is going to support now. He's saying that if he likes your ideas, he's going to do that. And I hope we have many more curatives in India. Thank you.
Thanks, Manish. It just tells us how focused you need to be in order to reach your goals. In 5 years, if you've been able to license a molecule to Roche, that is a great success. And it, of course, came because of the experience that you had, because of the funding that you could raise to even do this much, and your advisory board, and so on and so forth. Now I'd like to go to Dr. Kupuswamy. Can you tell us, it's growing, becoming more and more, now you're getting into the most difficult thing of vaccines. What did it really mean to actually do vaccine development in India, and how did you reach the stage you are in?
Good morning to everyone. I think most of the BIRAC people knows me, but I am very seldom I come out from the lab, and I started as a one-man company, as one scientist, and as Madam was telling, people have come with 10 years, 15 years of expertise, but I have come late with 30 years of experience. I came into this venture to start a company. And when I conceived the idea of starting a company, so I have to necessarily go with vaccine as my target, because all 30 years I have been working only on vaccines. I have been working for various vaccine companies, corporate companies in this country. And so that is the main reason. And the second reason for choosing a particular vaccine, like we started working on pneumococcal conjugate vaccine, because at the time when we started in 2010, there was no indigenous technology available for pneumococcal conjugate vaccine, and there are only one brand which was very popular here in India, and it was sold at a very exorbitant cost, 4,000 rupees a dose. So then we thought this is the right candidate, and since I know a little bit of chemistry, biochemistry and microbiology myself, so I thought this is the right molecule to bring the protein chemistry, polysaccharide chemistry and the conjugation chemistry together. And this idea was cropping in my mind, and at 2007 itself we wanted to start this company. You remember I came to your incubator, but I could not get a space. So I postponed the launch of this company. Then somehow when BIRAC came into being, and when the BTIC building was ready for, ready at Hyderabad, so I got a space. So I took two laboratory modules of 400 square foot, and then started the company, incorporated, and started working on this vaccine. And also, incidentally, I got the first round of BIPP funding, and with that, we could do the proof of concept studies completed. But then, with BIRAC funding, with a little bit of money from my own side, we were not able to expand the work, and we could not go into a GMP facility. And all my reserves are gone, and I was not able to pay the salaries of the 2-3 guys who were working with me. I was working without salary, of course. Then from BIRAC is again, I need to bring in 50% from my side, which was missing from my side. So I could not go back to them again. So at that stage, that was 2015. And I went to Venture East. That was 2015, early 2015. And I think he could still remember, he wanted a return within 3 years, 4 years kind of a timeline. And so he could not give me a concrete answer, so we left it at that stage. And incidentally, the other pharma company in Hyderabad called the Aurobindo Pharma was more interested, and they were willing to join hands with us. So we signed a joint venture partnership deal sometime in 2015, April, May. So it's almost 1 year now. And they have committed about $5 million to pump into this company. And I have to lose my majority stake in the company because of that. So I have to give 60% stake to Aurobindo Pharma, because the pharma companies want the controlling stake. And I don't have much bargaining in this deal. So I agreed, and we now today I have no problem with funding. From a one-man R&D center, we moved now we have a 20-member team. We have a GMP plant, BSL-2 GMP plant of around 4,000 square foot building in my hand. I have an R&D center, 4,000 square foot in my disposal. And so now we have completed the toxicology part of it, and we are now, our facility is going to be audited in a month's time by the FDA for making the clinical material. So after this clinical lot, parallelly we are also processing the protocol development for clinical studies. And see, the whole process, I have engaged a management consultant who had helped me in getting this deal done. Otherwise, I was not that much familiar with the venture institutions and other pharma companies. Most of the biotech vaccine companies were not willing to come forward because they know, I have worked with them, and they know me, and they have that feeling that if I can do it, why not we do it ourselves? So that was the approach of the vaccine companies per se. And then, so this pharma company came forward. They really wanted to take a risk and committed, fully committed for this work. So I'm very happy about this development. And so we are in the middle of, as I was telling Madam, we are in the middle of the scaling up process. So from a one-man company, I have come to a 20-member team. And I know today that I can pay their salaries in time. There is absolutely no problem. Paying salaries are taken care of by my collaborator. So absolutely no problem. And today I take salaries. And in the process, in the last 5 years, we have done associated molecule, which is used as a carrier protein in the conjugation of pneumococcal polysaccharides, which is called the CRIM-197. So we have perfected this technology long back, and this molecule is now getting some revenue for us. We have been selling this product to multinational companies. From our laboratory, it goes to even to China we are supplying. And we are talking to another company, vaccine company, for a kilogram quantities, multi-kilogram quantities joint venture plant. So hopefully next time when I come, I'll give that news. And Aurobindo has promised to invest another 100 crores on the manufacturing plant. You know, once you have your clinical trial started, you should parallelly start building your manufacturing plant also, because after the commercial license is obtained, you have to have your manufacturing plant ready, and otherwise you will lose their license, because they give only a 1 year period for commercializing after the clinical trials are completed. So we are working on the layout and design part of this manufacturing plant. This plant will come up in Hyderabad. So that is the story so far. And so I was, honestly speaking, I was planning to go back from the project at some stage. And by then, you know, I have completed 60 years of my age. So I cannot go back to a company to work again. So that was the stage. You know, I was frantically looking for some venture investments, and it was not coming forward in spite of having a consultant. And then luckily I got this, you know, strategic investor. In fact, strategic or non-strategic, I don't know. Because it's not a vaccine company.
Yeah.
So they are not in biopharmaceuticals at all. And in fact, the company wanted to develop a biotech, you know, arm, and so they joined with us.
Yeah,
Probably they're just trying their, you know, luck in this field. And so far it's fine. Hopefully, if the regulatory hurdles are minimum, and we should be there in the market by in 2 years' time. Mm-hmm. And coming to impact, what impact we will be making, not really in terms of valuations. It will take long time, but we can make an impact in the society by giving an affordable vaccine. So that has been our slogan. And I have been telling to BIRAC also that when I talked to BIRAC in 2011, I was one of the first ones to get funding under BIPP. And right at that time itself, I made a commitment that I'll make the vaccine at least at 1/10 of the cost of the prevailing rate. Mm-hmm. Today, of course, it is going to be still less. Competition has come in, and it's kind of it was 2010 when we proposed this project. The competitor molecule was going at around $65. Today, it's globally it is going at around $3. So that is a kind of drop, and we are geared up for less than $2 kind of pricing.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, so it's so heartening to hear how you actually you use your 30 years of expertise and knowledge and determination to do something which would change society, impact people's lives, and you actually achieved it in, I would think it's a record time of 5 years. You could get Aurobindo as an investor, and 500 million US dollars is,
yeah, that's right.
It's a very satisfactory amount. And I heard the same number from Manish. So there's something about this 500 million US dollars that you also mentioned, that Roche's deal was that. So fantastic. So what we really heard is impact is just not about valuation. Impact is possible in a period of 5 to 7 years, and there is no end, because when we start, we are talking of maybe raising 1 million. The moment you have 1 million, then you talk of raising 5 million, then you talk of raising 100 million.